Anne versus Luce, the debate that went on for years while both shows aired and ended. Both sister show protagonists that were transferred in another world, and what if both of them were to battle it out? Everybody in both fandoms has said their opinions and thoughts about who will win. Even I have gave my thoughts on this matchup and made both scaling in 2 videos. And to those who've seen my edits, and you probably think that I will say that Anne slams Luce with low difficulty when both are in full power. And that's partially true. But today I won't say the same points as I said before, because I have gained better knowledge on Time Luce as well as Calamity Anne when it comes to their full power. I will even compare both of them to not only feats, but I will compare their full potential to make things interesting. After that we got that out of the way, let's set some rules before we get right into it. 1. I will not be comparing their base forms. I am strictly talking about their powered up forms, because I believe their base forms are relative and can go either way depending on the situation. In my eyes, if both were to just stumble upon each other without one knowing the other, I would go with Anne, since she has more battle experience and is better in combat than Luce. If both are close to each other, I don't think I'm hurting anyone's feelings by saying Anne will completely beat up Luce if both are hand-to-hand with each other. But I will say, with prep, and if Luce has range against Anne, I will say Luce is most likely coming out on top 9 times out of 10. I don't think I need to get into how versatile with the glyph combinations combined with string beam will impact Anne, because it definitely will overwhelm Anne, especially with giving Luce preparation and range over her. Lastly, this should be obvious, but no one will have help during this battle, as it will just be Anne and Luce with their full power. So that means no assistance from Mita to Luce, and no stuns from the other Calamity Trio, so no move busting in this fight, as it will just be one-on-one. I will use feats, statements, and full potential to see who is really stronger between these 2 sister show protagonists. After that we got all of that out the way, let's start this battle. Let's start with Anne, since she's the most simple to scale, and I like to talk about feats that people heavily downplay, which are abilities and hacks and durability. I would like to talk about the other stats, but these are the ones I like to address and talk about first. Firstly, I will talk about durability, since that's something that people tend to get wrong. To those who think that full Calamity Anne has no durability feats, I would like to smack some sense into that argument, as not only in her weaker Calamity form was able to crash into 2 large buildings and come out barely damaged, but she took hits from Andrus in his mech form. Again, this is Anne in her weaker Calamity state, so obviously full Calamity Anne is much more durable than her weaker Calamity state, since she has the full power of her Calamity stones, which are unlimited in power. Another example of her durability, she was able to handle the force of a moon amped by the core while it's rocketing towards her and the Calamity Trail. The other robots instantly pop like balloons for trying to push the moon like the Calamity Trail. Now that we got that out the way, let's get into her abilities and hacks. Calamity Anne's abilities are much more powerful than what a lot of people think, and I'm going to get into the bread and butter. For starters, her stone is unlimited in power and can manipulate objects to her advantage, like telekinesis, energy manipulation, durability negation, and energy constructs with her imagination. Telekinesis is something she only did one time, but who's to say she can't use it in her full Calamity state? Another thing I'd like to get into is her energy manipulation. She powered a whole portal to Amphibia, she powered the sword that she used against Andrus, and she used her energy to add her power onto avocado for her durability negation. Granted, she hasn't shown to use durability negation in a fight and would be out of character for her to do so, but it's still not out of the realm for her to perform that ability if she wanted to. Now time to get into my favorite ability, which is when she uses her energy to make things out of her imagination. She made an energy-sized racket and created a tennis ball to smack the ball into domino-type balls, and it easily destroys the robots that the core made. Let's keep in mind that these robots are way bigger than Mech Andrus, who mind you went on par with weaker Calamity Anne, so she easily stomps her weaker Calamity form at LA. This ability goes deeper in Marcy's journal, and states that anything was possible in that state. I could look at a place and instantly be there. She can jump higher, run faster, and hit harder, and all while time moves slower for her so she can plan her next attack. This alone puts her at faster than light speed, bare minimum in both reaction speed and travel speed, from both statements and feats. Again, while in her weaker Calamity state, and while she used the form for the very first time to perform those feats. At bare minimum, she is FTL, but I'm not done with her speed scaling just yet, as she's shown in her Calamity states by, get this, she traveled to the moon in seconds. She traveled to the moon in seconds. Do you know how much it takes to literally get to the moon in literal seconds? that definitely makes her much faster than Lightspeed, and by the last few episodes on Amphibia, she has fully controlled her Calamity powers, so she doesn't nearly struggle to wield the power compared to the other Calamity trio. It's likely implied that she doesn't have a time limit on her Calamity powers anymore, since she has full control with the powers from her experience. So to have unlimited power in her arsenal, and to make her powers from her imagination, really makes her a powerhouse. Lastly, I would like to get into her strength and power. She and the Calamity trio stalled the moon amped by the core, by pushing with the raw strength and force. This at bare minimum puts her continental level, and at best puts her multi-continental level, since she has mastered control of her Calamity powers. So, can Titanloose find a way to beat that level of power? Let's find out. Titanloose. Wow, I believe the last time I scaled her was about, Wow, I wonder who made that video. Anyways, time to get into her scaling. No, I'm just playing. I believe I owe you guys, especially the Owl House fans, an apology for my misscaling on Titanloose. Somewhat. Although I agree in some points in the video, I'll be honest right now and say I completely do not think Loose is large building level. Now, before I explain on why I had to change a heart on Titanloose's scaling, I will at least say this. For the people who think she scales to the Collector because she's a Titan, wake up from your dream right now. Because she does not scale to the Collector at all, and I'd like to explain why briefly. 2 points. She's a Titan hybrid, and it was stated by King's father, aka the founding Titan, to want to give Loose his remaining power. Another thing, the Collector can easily use his powers inside Titanloose's bubble, but I thought the Titans can counter hardship this. That's because Loose isn't a full Titan, so it doesn't apply to her. She has no effect to the Collector at all, and she only has the remaining power of the Titan, not all of it. Now that we got that stupid argument out the way, let's get into her real scaling. So she doesn't have too much to go over like Calamity Ann, so what is her scaling other than large building level? Now, instead of going straight to power, I like to work up to get there. Let's talk about the stats that are my favorite when I'm talking about Titanloose, which is speed and abilities. Let's talk about speed first. From what we've seen, she went to the atmosphere in a couple of seconds. So that makes her at bare minimum speed of light, so potentially faster than, since she seems more faster than Ida and Lilith in their primes, and both are light speed in both combat and power. I say since she's more consistent with the speed of light, I lean more towards speed of light plus, just to be consistent. Now let's get into her abilities. Apart from glyphs that she can now use at will instead of drawing it on paper, she should have access to all of her combinations if she wanted to in her arsenal. What's also a part of her abilities is her Titan powers. She can do the Titan bubble and her famous wah, like King, to blast away Belos' moss. The strongest Titan bubble was when she crashed down from the atmosphere and went through Titan Belos' chest, and it damaged him in the process. Mind you, this is the same Belos who was destroying the lands of the Boiling Isles, and for Loose to at least damage him makes her relative to his power. She can even create huge shockwaves from her finger, even to the point where it filled the entire arena, and even further than that. Lastly, she is immune to the Boiling Isles' acid rain. Some people take this as a durability feat, but I doubt it, since it's more hacks plus the Leaf, Ida, King, and Rain Runner that's immune, so that proves my point otherwise. If you guys have been paying attention to the video, I already pointed out on where she would scale. Considering I spoke earlier about her being relative to Titan Belos, she would be around the island level. I can already hear the people saying that the Boiling Isles is the size of Vermont argument, and that should put Loose to continental, but the Vermont isn't even a continent. It's one of the smallest countries in the United States, so even if she does scale to Belos, at best she will be country. Reason why I say she's relative instead of equal to Belos is because she had help beating Belos, and just because you can damage Belos doesn't necessarily mean you're equal to him. He was even a threat to even the Collector far more than Loose, since the Collector's magic couldn't work on him, while the Collector's magic could work on Loose. So overall, Loose is the speed of light to potentially faster than light, and is relative to Belos, which makes her around island level. So, who wins this battle of the two sister show protagonists? Firstly, let's get into a feat before we get into statements and full potential. Although both have shown relative strength to their antagonists, it's not looking too good for Titanloose. What I mean by that is even with her glyphs in her arsenal at will, it's not really going to be that effective to Calamity Ann. Someone who can not only do energy manipulation, but can create energy constructs with her imagination. Not to mention the massive speed gap between the two, with even her weaker Calamity form being much faster than Loose. Don't get me wrong, Luz is fast, and traveling to the atmosphere in a couple of seconds is no joke. But compared to someone who's easily light speed in both reaction speed and travel speed, makes Luz's speed scale pale in comparison to even Anne's weaker Calamity form speed. So Luz doesn't take it in speed nor hacks. What about her abilities? She surely takes it in abilities, right? Since she is a witch after all, right? Right? Well, not exactly. Although on the surface it looks like Luz has more abilities in her arsenal thanks to her glyphs at will, sadly all of it takes a certain combination to perform these kinds of abilities, even while it's enhanced from her Titan powers. Meanwhile, Anne can create her attacks just from her imagination and can even negate most of Luz's attacks thanks to her energy manipulation. I know Anne hasn't just straight up used energy manipulation in a fight, but that doesn't mean she can't do it in a fight. And I didn't even get into her durability negation. If Luz even tries to use her Titan bubble against Anne, Anne can just use durability negation to attack Luz from the inside, considering she can do it like what she did with the avocado. Anne's abilities are just far more advanced than Luz, and are not limited to her location like Luz. Guys, you have to keep in mind that the glyphs cannot work outside the Boiling Isles. This was proven back at Season 1 when Luz tries to use her glyphs outside of the Boiling Isles, but it failed. While Anne can use her powers anywhere else, besides from just Amphibia. Lastly, Luz can use String Beam to scorch Anne, but you guys forget one important detail, which is her telekinesis. Anne should have no problem easily taking String Beam from Luz's hands with her telekinesis, faster than Luz can react. So Anne takes in abilities. Now let's talk about stamina, since a lot of people tend to get this wrong, and I'd like to say some points. People tend to say Luz takes it in stamina because Anne gets burned out from her Calamity powers, while Luz didn't get burned out from using her Titan powers. I like to say this. What happened in the last few episodes in Amphibia? Oh, that's right. She doesn't get burned out from her powers anymore. Not only it's heavily applied that she doesn't have a time limit anymore, but she can handle the power from her Calamity powers, so she easily takes it in stamina. Since Luz has a time limit, while Anne's Calamity form lasts longer, thanks to her experience. Now, let's get into strength as well as durability. And from an only speed's perspective, it's not in Luz's favor at all. Not only in her weaker Calamity form, showing more strength and durability than Luz, but do I really have to get into the power amp to her full Calamity form? And the scaling between the two? Even with Titan Luz's newfound scaling, she still doesn't even come close to full Calamity and scaling. Even at full Calamity and scaling, minimum scaling, she still scales over by a lot. Even if I scale Titan Luz to Velos by saying she beats him, she still falls short. So if it's not already obvious, I'm giving feats to Anne. What about statements? Does it help Titan Luz? Well, we have to keep in mind that Titan Luz isn't even a full Titan, and that her powers doesn't work on the Collector, so she doesn't scale to him. Meanwhile, Anne was stated to have unlimited power by the Guardian. You know, someone who's the creator of the Calamity Stones and is eons old. And considering the abilities the Guardian can do, just look at one Leaf looking into the future thanks to the Calamity Box. And since the stones are made from the Guardian, it's not crazy to think that the Guardian can do the same thing. So what does that mean for Anne? Well, it just means not only she has unlimited power, but she could possess the same abilities like the Guardian, and since the Guardian spoke on Anne becoming the next Guardian in 78 years, she just takes it in statements as well, since Titan Luz has little to no statements on that level at all, besides from the stupid Collector argument. So for our final point, full potential. Who takes it? Both have powers from powerful beings and have crazy abilities, but one seems to have the upper hand, and it's not the witch.
You serious?
Yes, Anne takes this point as well. Now, before the Owl House fans come at me, I have this to say about Titan Luz's potential. I believe if Titan Luz has the power of a full Titan and combine that with her creativity and skill, I believe she can definitely contend with people like the Collector. Her intelligence shouldn't be underestimated, and with all the glyph combinations and String Beam, she can surely be the next founding Titan, and might be even stronger than a Titan, which would put her above characters like the Collector. So if that's the case, then how does Anne still take the point? That's for 2 points. Firstly, Titan Luz does not have the power of a full Titan, and the fact that the show ended with the glyphs no longer be able to activate, so it would be impossible for her to reach her full Titan potential as a hybrid. Secondly, you're comparing this to a person who had their powers from a god since their first day in the world. What I mean by that is when Anne has unlimited power and has energy constructs from her imagination. Combine that with all the abilities we spoke about earlier, not to mention her speed as well as strength, all while in her full potential. The Guardian even states that Anne would be the next Guardian. I don't think I need to get into all the capabilities just from Anne, let alone the Guardian. Luce's Titan powers that she got from the founding Titan's remaining power was only temporary for saving the bowling house, while Anne's power was unlimited just by one stone, and her potential to become the next Guardian, she would be the watcher of multiple universes and gain all of the Guardian's power. While Time Luce tries to fight Calamity Anne, she simply won't keep up, and Anne can easily take down Time Luce all while time moves slower for her, all while having unlimited power and far more experience and superior stamina. Titan Luce just can't compete, Calamity Anne wins. No difficulty. That's it for this video. Anyways, I know the Owl House fans are upset about this one, but just realize these are just my opinions, and you're free to think otherwise after watching this video. I just want to start off this year with a nice classic debate. So if you enjoyed this video, leave a like and comment who do you think wins, Anne or Luce. Just know I love both of these characters honestly equally, and both shows for what they did for both fandoms. If it wasn't for either of these shows, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. So I have them to thank for that. And let's be honest, they would be friends instead, so no need to start a war in the comments with this debate. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and until next time.